Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Chase Something Outdoors. So today I want to talk to you guys about a bow that I own that I haven't talked to you guys about yet. And what this bow is this bow falls into what I would consider the midline bow category. So you have your flagship bows, your midline bows, and your budget bows. Your budget bows are exactly what they sound like, a budget bow. Inexpensive bow that can get you into shooting a bow. I would also consider a lot of the used bows kind of that budget bow category, even though you can get some flagship bows for what would be considered budget bow prices. They're just a little bit older. Then you have your midline bows. Your midline bows are typically a step down from your flagship bows. So they don't necessarily have all of the new technology, but they're getting a lot of that new technology. And then your flagship bows are the top of the line, the Cadillacs of the bow companies. They get all the new technology. They're considered the best product that they have that they come out with. Now your issue that you run into with your flagships is, man, they are getting expensive. I mean, we have flagship bows out there that are over $2,000. So if you're looking to get a good bow that doesn't necessarily break the bank, you may need to look into that midline bow or price point bow category. And the bow that I own that I'm going to talk to you about today is the BowTech Carbon Icon. So what makes this bow right here, the BowTech Carbon Icon, fall into the midline bow category versus the budget or the flagship bow category? Well, it's as simple as price. Basically, my categories for the budget bow would be anything $650 and below. Anything $650 to $1,000 I would consider a midline bow. Anything $1,000 and up I would consider a flagship bow. Now there are some other factors that fall in there, like different accessories and tunability and stuff like that comes on the bow. Some of the new ways that they're doing integrate and stuff like that. That's all typically going to be on your flagship bows. But you might get some stuff like on this bow that came on the flagship bows for that time that were on this bow. So that's kind of cool that you get those little accessories on a midline bow, a price point bow that would fall in the flagship category. Let's talk about this bow. This bow is a 2020 BowTech Carbon Icon. What does this bow have to offer? This bow is 31 inches axle to axle, 7-inch brace height, adjustable draw lengths on the modules. You also get the flip disc technology that BowTech offers, where you can put this bow in either comfort or performance mode. Comfort mode, you're going to get a more comfortable draw cycle with the bow. In performance mode, you're going to gain about 10 feet per second. This bow with my setup, this bow right now is set at 29 inches of draw length. It's set at 66 pounds. That's what these limbs max out at. They are a single limb versus a dual limb style. This is supposed to be a 70-pound bow, but I've never been able to get it to max out to 70 pounds. It just maxes out at 66 pounds. That's with the bow completely in tune. But I am getting about 283 feet per second out of this bow, which is pretty good speeds. And that's with a 423 grain arrow. Alright, so let me take a shot out of this bow and tell you a little bit about the draw cycle, vibration, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to take a shot, let you guys kind of watch, and then I'll talk about it a little bit afterwards. Alright, so what you get out of this bow, the draw cycle in performance mode we're talking about, it's stiff at the front, kind of gives a little bit towards the middle, and then it does dump into that back wall a little bit. This does have a draw stop on it that is a limb stop style, so it's not a cable stop style. So once you hit that back wall, it is rock solid, and this bow has 80% let off, so you're not holding a ton of weight at the back. Once you get it to the back there, you can hold it for a long time. But it is 80% let off. It's not a 90% let off bow, so you do have to keep yourself honest in that back wall. Now if you notice on this bow, I've added some dampening on here. This bow did not come with any kind of dampening on it other than these cable silencers, and I did notice right off the bat that there was some residual vibration in the riser itself. Adding that to it, just putting this little stabilizer on it, has completely taken that away. This bow would be what everyone says dead in the hand once you get this stuff on it, but it does not come dead in the hand, so you did have to add that stuff to it in order to get it to where there is very little vibration in the bow. So as we talked about, this is a midline bow, so as I said, I did have to add some vibration stuff to get that vibration out of this riser. This is a carbon riser, and it is a very light carbon bow. This bow, total weight without all the accessories on it, was rated at 3.2 pounds, so super light bow. That has a lot to do with these single limbs, the carbon riser, and just kind of being a bare bones style of bow. But I added those dampeners, like I said, in order to get that vibration out of it. The other thing I added was this cable slide. So it just came with your standard basic plastic cable slide, and you could just tell it was very kind of clunky in the draw, and you could tell it was going to tear up the cables too. So I added this nice one with the roller here on it, and then it's got the Teflon built in there, and man, did that change the draw cycle. And I have had no wear on the cables, other than, as you can see, I have a different string on versus the cables. I had custom strings and cables put on this bow, and I damaged the string, so I had to put the original string back on. I do have the custom cables on here still, but I did have to go back to the stock string, which is working out great. I do still have the stock cables. I just decided I wanted to just leave those custom ones on and put the stock string back on the bow. Alright, so one last thing I want to talk to you guys about while I'm shooting one more arrow here is the stability of this bow. Now typically what you run into with a bow that's light and that is narrow like this bow is, with being the single limbs, is that you run into stability issues. I have not ran into that issue with this bow. Yes, if it's windy out, because the bow is light, it can move you around a little bit more. But I'm going to draw back right here. I'm going to settle in on the shot, and I'm going to shoot the shot, and you'll see how quickly I can get that bubble to settle. Perfect heart shot on my 3D target right there. Got it settled in real quick and took the shot. Alright, my conclusion on the 2020 BowTech Carbon Icon: I love this bow. With it being the carbon riser, you run into a cold winter day here in Michigan, you take this bow out, it doesn't get cold. Love that about it. Super light bow, so if you're doing a lot of packing out west or anything like that, it is light. It's like carrying a feather. You don't even notice it's there. 31 axle to axle, so it falls kind of in that good category of both, where you can shoot this bow pretty well at long range, and you know, it's good for tight quarters in like a tree stand or a blind or anything like that. Kind of the good all-around jack of all trades bow. I really enjoy this bow. I've had it now for a few years and shot a few deer with it, and it's been a great bow for me. Now I will tell you some downfalls to it. This bow is kind of hard to get tuned, mainly because you don't have a lot of clearance here between your cables and where your rest goes, so you got to watch which kind of fletchings you use. You got to use something that's fairly low profile on it. Really, that's about it. That's about the only issue I've had with it. Oh, I will mention one more that I thought about. So I'm running this hot wire trophy ridge sight on here. Now I can max out with the arrow that I'm shooting at about 85 yards with it. Not a big deal for hunting purposes, but for like things like Total Archery Challenge, I myself, at my draw length, my peep height, everything like that, have ran into, if I'm using a slider style sight on here, where I can't get 100 yards out of the bow. I probably could tinker with it a little bit, you know, switch up on some arrows, and I could maybe get 100 yards out of it. But that's something that I've, you know, ran into an issue with. That's also why I'm running this sight on it, because this is essentially 2 fixed pins and a floater at the bottom. So it's like the perfect hunting setup. So yeah, that's my conclusion on the BowTech Carbon Icon. Thank you guys for coming to the channel again.